How's it going? This is Jay. I'm back with another great resource. I'm here with Mike Snyder. He's the curriculum manager at Cybersecurity Maturity Model for Certification Accredited Body. How's it going, Mike?
Thank you, Jay. I'm doing fine.
It's glad to have you on. Really interested in talking about this topic because you hear nowadays a lot of people talk about CMMC and people are not too sure or aware of what that is. So I'm glad to have you on to be able to talk to the audience and kind of explain us about that. But starting off with that, do you mind telling us about CMMC?
Yeah, Jay. So CMMC, the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification Program, was developed to enhance the cybersecurity protection standards for companies within the defense industrial base. So DIB is what we refer to them as within the DoD and kind of within the community of assessors. And then CMMC is designed to protect sensitive information that's unclassified. So that's the key here is unclassified information, which is also referred to as FCI and CUI. So that's federal contract information and then controlled unclassified information, CUI. That's shared by the DoD with those contractors and subcontractors that are within the DIP. So that's kind of the whole program, and we've seen that throughout the last couple of years. So we've had incidents where stuff has got leaked, or kind of our adversaries have managed to get into those DIB contractors into their actual information systems, and that's what we're trying to do here is take this assessment approach, trying to get it to a streamlined approach so that all the DIB contractors are doing the same thing. Because the people that have money obviously can do it a lot better than the small and medium-sized companies. So now we're trying to make it like I just said in the beginning, and take those cybersecurity protection standards and get it to all the DIBs and then create one assessment approach. But that's kind of the fundamental approach with CMMC is take the NIST 800-171 standards that we've been trying to implement now since 2015, all the way through the last couple of years, and incorporate them into CMMC as one standard moving forward.
How does one get started in the process of this? How does someone become a CCA or a CCP and get started for their certification process to be able to be a part of this?
All right, so I'm going to start with CCP, the Certified CMMC Professional. So that's I like to call them tiers. Different people, I've heard different strategies to this. Originally, it was kind of like an apprenticeship. And the idea with that was in the beginning, the DoD and the CMMC AB working groups, we did have working groups in the beginning. They understood that there was going to be a lot of assessors. We will still need a lot of assessors. And we could only grab so many people that had that expertise. There could maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 max that would have the fundamental experience to build the initial pool. And then from that point on, we would have to ideally have these novice people that would have to sit on the teams. So that's where CCP came into this apprenticeship program. But ideally, it's like a tier one. You're there to learn. So we have CCP, you come take the course. So to begin with, you have to seek out a licensed training provider. And you can do that from the CMMC marketplace. Now, currently, we only have, since we're going through the migration of CMMC 1.0 to 2.0, we only have a couple of training providers. And I say a couple, but ideally, I think we have 7 or 8 that are teaching it currently. And then over the next couple of months, they're going to go from 1.0 to 2.0. So the market will increase dramatically. We'll go from that 7 or 8 to probably around 20 to 30. And then it'll increase more and more as everybody gets their training content approved. But with that being said, you'll go to a training provider. They will teach you the CMMC, the Certified CMMC Professional course. And then after that, you would take, just like any other certification program, you would go take this certification exam. Once you take the exam, you can ideally go sit on CMMC assessments. Now, this is the difference here. On version 1, you weren't allowed to sit on a level 2 assessment. With 2.0, the DoD is going to do some different change here, obviously, because we need assessors and we want you to learn. The idea is to let you learn, so that there's going to be, with the aid of our C3POs, our organizations that actually, I like to call it the overwatch of the assessment. There are assessment organizations and they have all the assessors underneath them, but they will submit to the DoD if they want a CCP on an assessment. And you'll go through a whole process to get on the assessment. But ideally, then you can sit on a level 2 assessment and actually help out with the assessment. If you choose to go that way, I always tell people there's nothing saying you have to do this. This is the neat part about the CCP program. We understand that some people just want to be instructors of the program and just want to teach CCP and the fundamentals of the CMMC program, right? We have instructors that are just going to do that. But if you're an assessor, because I came out of the active duty and I like doing assessments and I like doing implementations. If you feel like you're going to be one of those people and you want to go all the way, you want to go on to the next step, there is a requirement in between. So I'm going to explain that. In between the certified CMMC professional CCP and then moving on to the certified CMMC assessor, which is what I like to call the tier 2 or our final stage in this, the 2 different certifications. You have to sit on 3 assessments. So, and this is like kind of an evaluation to make sure you kind of get that feeling of the assessment, because there's a lot in it. I mean, 14 domains, and of course there's 110 practices. But the idea is that you get to see these other experienced assessors working through the rest of those domains and those 110 practices. You get to see what they're doing before you go, into the next block of training. Now, the neat part about this is we did not stop anybody from going on to the next block of training. So if you want to go, you can do back-to-back training. You could go take the certified CMMC professional, and then the next week you could go and take the certified CMMC assessor course. There's nothing stopping you from getting all the knowledge that you want. It's just you can't take the exams back-to-back. You have to go through the process. So now the one thing that does stop you is these 3 I'd like to call them observations, but you have to sit on 3 assessments as a CCP in between the 2 exams. So that is the catch. And of course, that's just for experience. And we kind of want to make sure that, you kind of got everything you needed out of CCP, you passed the exam, and that you're ready to become a CCA. And of course, we're going to get that from the lead assessor, the person running those 3 assessments that you're going to sit on. If you didn't, we're going to know. It's very intense and it's in depth. You might want to sit on a couple more assessments before you go sit on that CCA exam, because it is intense and it's a lot about practices and knowing the requirements of what you're going to look for evidence. So that's the whole deal with the 3 that you're going to sit on. And of course, just like CCP, you have an examination process after you would sit on those 3 and after you took the training. And then ideally, you would be, after you take the exam, you get your results, and you would be able to sit as a fully certified CCA, certified assessor on it. And you'd be part of now this is the crazy part. And in version 1, we did not have CCPs as team members on level 2 or level 3. So we weren't allowing the CCPs because they didn't have suitability. They didn't have a lot of other stuff. We're going to kind of push everybody through that process now as CCPs, and we're going to allow them to sit on and actually be part of as a team member of an actual assessment team. So we're going to kind of keep everybody as a team member, whether they're, at that tier 1 or tier 2 CCP, CCA, and keep everybody as a team member.
So, speaking about that, you said to the effects of suitability, is there like a requirement for that, like for you to have a clearance for suitability? Is that for like TS folks? Is that?
So yeah, this is one good aspect of everybody coming out of active duty service that already has a clearance. Okay. You would we just do a clearance verification, and I say we, but ideally the DoD does the actual verification, since it is their program. If you didn't have a clearance, you're coming from, an MOS, a specialty that doesn't require a clearance. The way suitability works is it's ideally a secret clearance that does not get adjudicated. So they go through the background check and goes almost all the way to the end, and then the DoD gets your results back, and they just don't adjudicate it. You don't actually get a real clearance. So, but the rest of the background process does happen. That currently takes anywhere from about 3 to 6 months, depending. It really depends on your background. So that's why we say anybody with an active duty, current clearance or within the last 2 years. So if you had one in the last 2 years, you can breeze through. They just do a verification of your clearance and we're good to go. That takes anywhere from about a week to 2 weeks.
How can this program benefit active duty and veterans looking to complete this certification?
The clearance is number 1, so that definitely helped me out. So I'll tell you, I had about 22 years, almost 23 when I got out. I was an active duty Army, signal and electronics. So I dealt with this stuff, and I can tell you, I'm gonna do this jokingly, but I think we all heard this speech like, this will help your career when you get out, your 4 years will, get you all these jobs. And I used to think that that was a joke. But I got out, I took a couple months off, did some certification. I had to update all my certifications. Most of them had lapsed. You can only keep a couple while you're in. So I didn't know what I really wanted to do. And then these assessments started popping up, and I was like, well, maybe I'll try this out. So I kind of went into the NIST realm doing 171, and it just so happened that I kind of fell into this, but a lot of people were from anywhere from Navy to DISA, all these agencies really seek you out for this stuff because they need to prep all different types of assessments internally. And then now we're looking for this is nuts right now. A lot of people don't realize, how crazy this is getting. The defense industrial base really has to start doing the prep work, because as the new contracts come out, either, next year or any following year for 3 years, they have to meet these requirements.
Yeah.
So with your experience, this is what a lot of people don't realize. There's 14 domains inside here, and I'm going to just list a couple, and I'm going to tie it to my experience and what I know of certain branches, right, that I worked with. And this should hopefully tie together, because whether you're Marine, Air Force, Navy, or Army, and I'll throw the Coast Guard in there just for fun. So, because we all do the same thing. A lot of people don't realize this. I got to work, since we went joint, a lot of people do the same job, and we get to do it together, especially downrange. The Navy has, the information, I think, is professional officer. And then, of course, it's, I got to work with, on the Army side, was information systems technicians. And then, of course, I was kind of the same thing. Like, we're all the same thing as an officer. And then it's always like an IT technician enlisted. And then the Navy's the same way. It's information systems technician. The roles are the same, but we all do the same jobs. One oversees the program and makes sure it runs. The other one does the technical work. Now, this is what I tell a lot of people. You may not think that your job or your role does a lot of stuff, but it does. So I used to tell and this is for all the Army people, you're a 25 Bravo or you're a 25 November. So a network person, or the person sitting on a help desk, and you don't think you really do a lot of stuff. You look at policies every day, you just don't realize it. And you help that senior leader update those policies, because you're normally complaining about somebody that called in, or you're helping that person do a role. So you're updating their account. And when you're doing that, that senior person that's above you has to update a policy because it doesn't work right, or your process flows don't work right. Guess what we do here every day? We check that on the civilian side to make sure that when they're doing something with the DoD, it works correctly, so that they don't give away CUI or controlled unclassified information, or their federal contract information. So a lot of people don't put the two of those together. So when I started working there, I had to start telling people, like, you already do this, you just don't realize it. So don't ever discard what you do for your regular active duty job as this, tie the two together. So I'm going to tie a couple jobs together here, just based off of what I just said. So my biggest one is, a lot of us do IAVA, so information assurance and vulnerability. I don't know how many times I did this, telling my soldiers, like, hey, we got to go do this month. And then when I got out, I didn't ever think about it again. And then I got here and I was like, man, I did this every month. I would tell them to go do it. And I don't think any one of the people that work for me would probably ever put that on their resume. And yet, when I look at resumes here, I never see it. And I have to tell people, like, IAVA is part of what we do. So
you got me thinking about the ATLs that I was doing and stuff.
You got it. Yeah, ATLs. So anything that you do that updates a policy or any kind of vulnerability or information system, and stuff that you're constantly doing to update that system, or a system so I'd like to tell people, any kind of information system that talking to another information system, where you need to make sure that they talk together, just think the process in between there. And if it came from an agency within the government and they gave you some kind of rule set, guess what? We get the same stuff here. That goes across the board. And then 9 out of 10 says that went to our defense contractors. So they get the same rules. So you're applying it on the civilian side. So just keep that in mind, that it's the same job out here. You're just going to be an assessor looking to make sure that they did it. So just keep these things on your resume. Don't rule them out. That is a big thing on the outside for us to look at. The other thing is incident response. A lot of us don't put this into play, that we do it. I would say this kind of gets more into the officer side of the house. So Jay, when we're looking at it, I think a lot of officers kind of rule out what they do. It's one of the people we don't get here is, the upper level management. So I'd say anywhere from our senior enlisted to the officer side of the house, we need those types of people because they're great for our lead assessors, because we need somebody that can talk to the upper level management within that when we're doing the assessment. So our CISOs and everybody else that are running the IT groups and everybody else, you need that interaction. And those are the people that have it. They have the experience. That's why I like running teams, because when I go out, I start talking to CISO, because that person, you got to kind of like push them off to the side and get them away from the rest of the assessment team so the assessment team can do their job. So if anybody's transitioning and you've already, you've ran that IT department, whatever it is, the cybersecurity team, just keep that in mind. This is a great, every C3PO is looking for lead assessors or somebody to run a group of teams. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot of opportunity out here. You still have to go through CCP, CCA, and then the lead assessor course afterwards. But this is a great opportunity, and you already have the experience, so you'll kind of transition very quickly through all the certifications.
No, that's awesome.
My next one is physical and personnel security. I don't know how many times we hear this, but this is a big thing because that's the first way of stopping anybody into the organization. And here it's heavy. It's 2 domains inside the system. You can't beat it. It's part of 171. Of course, it flows right into CMMC since it's built on 171. But I had the whole list. If you look through the 14 domains, you can almost tie everything into, either signal or anything information security. And of course, everybody has cyber fields now within all the branches. So just take time to your job and then put those on your resume. And then, of course, if you have any questions, you can always reach out. There's so many resources, which I know we're about to talk about here.
Does that sound like setting the cyber awareness challenge that we all have to take?
You got it. Yep.
That's awesome. So can you tell us where we can learn more, Mike, about, CMMC and any upcoming webinars or websites or events?
I'm going to give you 2 different approaches to this. So my first thing is cmmcab.org. Okay, we don't kind of post when things are going to happen. We do it a little bit different than everybody else. Once you go to our website, up in the top left-hand corner, there's a login little icon. If you click on that and then you register and create an account, we don't make you look for anything. You will just get a notice when we're going to have them. We learned trying to post it on the website. A lot of people don't have time to go look for it all the time. So if you are a member, we tie everything to either your credentials or your organization that you're underneath, and we push out all the notices that way. So as soon as you registered, you're tied to whatever credentials you have. And then if it's a town hall, that goes out to everybody, and we do those once a month. Mm-hmm. And then my other website I like to tell everybody is acquisitions. So that's actually the CMMC PMO office. So if you go there, that is full of information. I tell everybody my favorite place on there is the resource tab. But as they get more and more information, that's where they post everything, is within those resources. If a policy changes, if you're looking for assessor programs or anything to do with what we're going to do in the ecosystem, that's on the AB side of the house. If you're looking for the CMMC program, you're going to go to the acquisition site, because obviously the DoD runs the program, and then we kind of maintain the program.
Those are the websites. We'll have them listed. And then also at the bottom, if you want, you can scroll down to it. All the websites will be listed. So make sure you check them out. Get a good understanding of the program and how to get involved. So, Mike, you've been a veteran of 22 years. You've been after you transitioned out. Now you're running this program as a curriculum manager, and you have a lot of experience as a transition service member, now a veteran. Can you tell us what's the best piece of advice do you have for other service members that's transitioning, as looking for career opportunities?
If you're looking at being more hands-on and you want to actually get into the technology, you're going to want to look at being an actual registered practitioner. There are implementers. So, and I would tell anybody, if you feel a little uncomfortable being an assessor, be a registered practitioner first. If you want to get some hands-on experience within the ecosystem, these companies are looking for people with the experience, the understanding, I would say the understanding of how to implement it. And then you can get the knowledge of different types of devices, of different technologies and how to incorporate them. And they're willing to spend money on you. That's the catch. So they want that experience coming out. They're willing to do it. And that'll get you the hands-on. And then after that, you can go to the courses and take your CCP, CCA. And then if you want, you can become an assessor. I will also tell you this. Most organizations that do implementations are also assessment organizations. They do both. So they will allow you to transition over. So just keep that in mind. It's an easy process. Most of the ecosystem is double-hatted. You just can't implement and assess the same organization. They would flip-flop you to a different organization to assess. But I can tell you, they've kind of built it to the point where it is a simple system to get out. A lot of them are veterans as well. I would tell you, most of the people I talk to were in service. You know, a lot of them, the DIB companies, you know, they're veteran owned, so you get used to it. But yeah, the only thing I can tell you is take your time, know what you want to do before you kind of get into it. But remember that there's so many resources in here to help you to get through the process. And I can tell you, it's not it's fast paced when you get to the assessment, but a lot of this stuff is, there's so much knowledge within the ecosystem that you can kind of take your time to learn, and then use your expertise where you need to.
That right there is crucial, because I know a lot of people that want to transition, or a lot of people that think about what they're going to do next, and they're kind of worried about their steps as far as like, am I going to be, well, I know enough. Will I be able to perform to the level that I need to, especially transitioning into a new field? But having that, it kind of sets you up for success. You're going to see some other assessors do it. You're going to kind of get your feet wet. You're going to learn it. And everything's not going to be the same. But as you continue to grow, your understanding, your knowledge set, and then obviously you're gonna have a deep pool of people that you can reach out to. So I think that's phenomenal. And that's awesome to be able to provide to the military community for those who are interested in that opportunity.
Yeah, and the assessment teams are gonna work the same way. So if it's a level 2 assessment, ideally all of us have to know all 14 domains. Yes. But the teams, the average team in, you know, medium to prime contractor is going to be built of 4 people or more. So out of the 4, they're going to break it up by domains. So you may have 3 domains, 4 domains. So you're not doing the whole thing yourself. So it's the same way, and you'll be able to learn off those other people. Now, granted, you have to make it through the CCA exam, but you will be taught everything that you need to get through the exam. Yes. In the course. Yes. So the idea is that you would learn the rest while you're sitting with everybody else. We don't expect you to know everything sitting on there. It's just not going to happen. There's stuff you're going to learn there, evidence collection, approaches. So you will learn a lot from other assessors. Don't think that you're just going to go in there and you have to know everything.
No, that is awesome. And I think that gives the audience a lot to look into. Again, thank you, Mike, for being able to spend the time and kind of go over this. This is a great opportunity for those who are interested in trying to figure out what they want to do next and becoming an assessor or becoming a practitioner. If that's what you want to do, here's kind of like the pathway forward. The links will be at the bottom. Definitely follow up with us. If you want to connect with us, we'll definitely make sure we bridge that gap for you. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again at the next interview or next webinar. Thanks again, Mike. Do you got any last words?
No, I just hope to see all of you in the ecosystem at some point in time on an assessment or at one of the DIBs or at one of our webinars.
Absolutely. Make sure you tune into their webinars as well. With that being said, that's all we have for you today. Thanks again. Look forward to speaking to you guys another time. Jay out.